The world's first self-charging aircraft, developed by Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso, has officially completed its first U.S. test flight, and the results are nothing short of revolutionary. If this technology scales, the impact could be monumental. Commercial airlines could slash costs. The military could operate with unprecedented efficiency. And the aviation industry could finally take a massive leap toward a zero-emission future. It's not just about flying differently. It's about redefining how humanity powers motion itself. From the streets of Zimbabwe to the skies of America, Maxwell Chikumbutso has proven that the boundaries of invention exist only in the mind. As his self-charging plane glides above the clouds, it carries a message louder than any engine roar. The future doesn't belong to the powerful. It belongs to the visionary. If you found this story as inspiring as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more groundbreaking tech stories from around the world. As Maxwell's aircraft soared higher into the calm blue sky, observers on the ground could hardly believe what they were witnessing. The hum of an electric propulsion system was gentle, almost serene, and unlike the roaring thunder of traditional engines. Engineers monitoring the flight data described a moment of absolute awe. The realization that this machine was truly sustaining itself in the air without a single drop of aviation fuel. News of the successful test spread quickly. In aviation circles, discussions began to swirl about how this breakthrough could change the balance of innovation across the world. Analysts compared the event to the early flights of the Wright brothers, a moment small in appearance but monumental in consequence. For many, it was not just about technology. It was a symbol of how imagination, when paired with determination, could lift entire nations into new eras of progress. Within hours, reports from scientific institutions and independent engineers began surfacing online. Several experts confirmed that the aircraft design incorporated a self-regenerating electrical system, one that recharges its own batteries mid-flight using advanced electromagnetic conversion. This mechanism allowed the plane to remain airborne far longer than any conventional electric aircraft ever built. It was not merely efficient. It was a statement that endless flight might one day be possible. Meanwhile, Maxwell himself remained humble. Speaking to a small group of journalists after the test, he expressed deep gratitude rather than triumph. He emphasized that his goal was never fame or recognition, but to create solutions that uplift humanity. He spoke softly about his early struggles, recalling the nights he worked in silence, guided only by faith and curiosity. To him, this flight was not the end of the journey. It was the beginning of a new responsibility. In laboratories and universities around the world, researchers began to re-examine long-dismissed theories about self-sustaining energy systems. Maxwell's achievement had reopened doors that science once closed, encouraging others to imagine beyond the boundaries of conventional physics. Many wondered how such technology could be adapted to drones, cargo aircraft, and even space travel, where recharging or refueling is a constant challenge. The United States Aviation Authority, after observing the test, released a preliminary statement acknowledging the flight's success and confirming its compliance with air safety regulations. It was a cautious but historic moment, a silent recognition that something extraordinary had indeed taken place. Industry leaders from aerospace corporations reportedly expressed interest in studying the system further, hoping to understand how such a clean, efficient, and quiet form of aviation could be integrated into the future of flight. As the sun began to set over the desert horizon, the aircraft landed gracefully, its metallic body glimmering under the fading light. There was no exhaustion in its system, no need for refueling, only quiet confidence, as if the machine itself understood the significance of what it had just achieved. The engineers approached it not as a mere prototype, but as a living symbol of what persistence, vision, and creativity can accomplish. And somewhere in that moment, as the world watched this silent triumph unfold, it became clear that the story of Maxwell Chikumbutso was no longer just about one man's invention. It was about an awakening, a reminder that innovation has no borders, and that the next chapter of human flight might not be written in corporate laboratories, but in the hearts and hands of dreamers who refuse to give up. In the days that followed the test flight, conversations about Maxwell Chikumbutso's invention began to spread beyond scientific circles. Universities, research centers, and even young students across Africa and beyond started studying his work with renewed curiosity. For many, this achievement was more than just technological progress. It was a message of hope, showing that brilliance could emerge from any corner of the world when determination meets vision. Several aviation specialists from Europe and Asia quietly reached out to understand the principles behind Maxwell's design. Some wanted to collaborate. Others simply wished to learn. What caught everyone's attention was the aircraft's ability to maintain stability and endurance without depending on an external energy source. It demonstrated that the concept of continuous flight, once considered impossible, could now be approached through clean and sustainable engineering. Maxwell, however, continued to work quietly in the background. He preferred progress over publicity. With a small but dedicated team, he began refining the aircraft's internal systems, studying its data, and exploring ways to increase efficiency and safety. His dream was not limited to one successful test. He envisioned fleets of self-charging planes connecting distant cities, transporting people and goods without consuming a single drop of fossil fuel. As more details of the Nevada test became public, environmental organizations began to take interest as well. They saw in Maxwell's creation a practical path toward reducing aviation emissions, one of the major contributors to global climate challenges. Some even called it a turning point, a sign that sustainable aviation was finally within reach. Governments, too, began to observe carefully, recognizing that such innovation could bring both environmental and economic benefits. Inside research facilities, discussions shifted toward adapting this technology for different purposes. Scientists speculated that smaller versions of the same system could power drones used for delivery, surveillance, or agriculture, all operating continuously without the need for charging stations. Space engineers also showed interest, imagining how such energy systems might support future space missions where conventional fuel is difficult to transport. Despite the growing attention, Maxwell remained focused on his values. He often reminded his team that the purpose of invention is not competition, but contribution. He believed that knowledge should serve humanity, not divide it. His humility drew even more respect from those who met him. For many young inventors across Africa, he became a symbol of what is possible when one remains faithful to their vision, even when the world doubts it. As preparations for the next phase of testing began, a quiet sense of anticipation filled the air. Maxwell's team worked carefully, analyzing every reading from the Nevada test. The data showed not only the plane's remarkable stability, but also its consistent power regeneration throughout the entire flight. The team's excitement grew with each new discovery, as they realized how many possibilities this technology could unlock for aviation and beyond. International aviation authorities soon took a deeper interest. Engineers from several countries traveled discreetly to observe Maxwell's workshop and understand the systems firsthand. Their visits were not marked by cameras or media coverage. Instead, they were guided by genuine curiosity and scientific respect. Many left with admiration, noting that Maxwell's approach combined simplicity with brilliance, a design so efficient that it seemed almost effortless once understood. At the same time, discussions began between Maxwell's research group and a few private aerospace companies in the United States. These companies saw the potential for collaboration, particularly in developing prototypes suitable for commercial and humanitarian use. The goal was not to replace current aviation systems overnight, but to explore how self-charging technology could gradually be integrated into cargo planes, air ambulances, and emergency response aircraft. While these talks continued, the global scientific community remained fascinated. Conferences began to include discussions about self-sustained propulsion systems inspired by Maxwell's innovation. Papers were written, ideas exchanged, and students across different continents began experimenting with similar energy models in their laboratories. For the first time in many years, the spirit of discovery felt truly shared across borders, not driven by competition, but by collective inspiration. In Zimbabwe, Maxwell's story became a source of hope for young inventors. Schools began highlighting his achievements as examples of how creativity, persistence, and faith can lead to extraordinary progress. Communities that once lacked resources for innovation started forming small makerspaces, where students built miniature versions of his concepts using locally available materials. To them, Maxwell represented more than a scientist. He was a reminder that possibility begins in the mind before it takes shape in the world. Meanwhile, Media networks began to treat the story with a new tone of respect. Instead of skepticism, there was admiration. Instead of doubt, there was genuine inquiry. Documentaries were proposed to explore his journey, from his early experiments in Harare to the verified flight in U.S. airspace. Viewers across the globe were drawn to the simplicity of his message. That innovation is most powerful when it serves humanity. Behind the scenes, Maxwell and his team continued to refine the plane's design. They focused on improving flight duration, monitoring system resilience under various weather conditions, and enhancing safety protocols for future tests. The team also started developing a second prototype, larger, more advanced, and equipped to carry additional passengers. The dream was growing, step by step, guided not by haste but by precision and care. Government representatives from several African nations began showing interest in supporting Maxwell's work. They envisioned regional partnerships that could help build new research hubs focused on clean energy aviation. These efforts aim not only to advance technology but to strengthen education, giving young engineers the tools and knowledge to continue exploring beyond what had already been achieved. And through it all, Maxwell remained grounded. He often spoke of gratitude to his team, to those who believed in him, and to the countless dreamers who refused to be discouraged by obstacles. His calm confidence inspired those around him to keep moving forward, believing that true progress takes time, patience, and unwavering commitment. The next chapter of his work was already beginning to form. Plans for an international demonstration, where representatives from multiple countries could witness the aircraft in action. There was a quiet sense of destiny surrounding these preparations, as if the world was ready to take another step toward a cleaner, more connected future. As the day of the international demonstration arrived, anticipation filled the air. Representatives from leading aerospace organizations, scientists, and environmental advocates gathered at a quiet airfield in Arizona. Cameras were discreet, but the energy was unmistakable. Everyone knew they were about to witness something extraordinary. When the aircraft rolled onto the runway, it did not roar or shake the ground. Instead, it moved with quiet confidence, powered by its self-sustaining energy system. As it ascended, the crowd watched in respectful silence. The plane climbed higher and higher, its smooth wings glinting beneath the sun. Every movement seemed effortless, every second a testament to what human imagination could accomplish when guided by purpose and persistence. For nearly 2 hours, the aircraft circled the open sky. Engineers tracked its readings in real time, confirming that the plane was generating power as it flew, sustaining its systems without external input. When it finally descended, landing gracefully on the same strip from which it had departed, the entire field erupted into quiet applause. There were no fireworks or grand speeches, only the sound of genuine admiration and wonder. In that moment, history felt tangible. The self-charging plane had not only flown successfully again, it had done so before the eyes of the world. Maxwell Chikumbutso stepped forward humbly, his calm expression reflecting both relief and gratitude. He spoke softly, thanking everyone who had believed in the possibility of change, and reminding them that true innovation is born from service to others, not pride. The demonstration marked a new chapter in aviation history. Soon after, several research institutions proposed collaborations to expand and refine the technology. Environmental leaders praised the achievement as a milestone in sustainable travel. For many nations, it became a symbol of what can happen when talent, perseverance, and vision meet opportunity. Back in Zimbabwe, celebrations filled the streets. Children carried small paper airplanes, calling them Maxwell's birds. Teachers shared his story as a lesson in courage and creativity. Across the world, his name became synonymous with possibility, proof that great ideas can rise from anywhere and that innovation knows no borders. As the sun set that evening, the plane rested quietly in its hangar, a sleek silhouette against the fading light. Its silent wings had carried more than just metal and machinery. They had carried hope for a cleaner planet, for a fairer world, and for a generation that dares to dream differently. And somewhere in that peaceful twilight, Maxwell looked toward the horizon with calm certainty. He knew this was not the end, but the beginning of something even greater, a future where the sky itself could remind humanity that energy, like imagination, is infinite when guided by purpose.